Welcome to the Eddie Lam Show. We dedicate this podcast to interviewing musicians of every kind, as well as online content creators on social media. Whether if they're starting out or if they're already on the rise and still growing, this show is all about having a fun conversation with our guests, talking about their favorite things that relate to their passion for their projects. Thank you so much for tuning in, and let's have that conversation. Starting a new life in a different country is never easy, especially when English was not your first language. Our guest for this episode is Charlotte LeGuy, a musical artist from France who writes songs in both French and English. Despite not knowing anyone before moving to Canada, she still managed to connect with the Vancouver local music scene and make a name for herself performing at various gigs. We'll be talking about Charlotte's music history in her hometown and her journey to being noticed in Vancouver. Folks, we have an amazing guest in the studio today. She is a singer and songwriter right here in Vancouver, BC, but she's originally not from here. In fact, English was not her first language, but she does speak other languages. And it's a great pleasure to meet this cool songwriter from the open mic scene in Vancouver, BC. I think we've met about a year ago, and it's so great to get to know all these talented folks who showcase their tunes, whether they be covers or they write their own stuff. But it's such a pleasure to have this guest on here today on the Eddie Lam Show. We got Charlotte LeGuy. Welcome to the show, Charlotte. How are you doing today? Comment ça va?
Thanks, Eddie. Ça va très bien. And you?
Très bien, merci. Yeah. So we met last year in the summertime, I believe.
Yes, I think we saw each other the first time at the Blind Pig Festival open mic, if you remember. I think.
That's right. And that was in Granville
July.
Island.
Yes, correct, yes.
Yes, July 2023.
Yes.
And I think by that time, the first time I saw you, you were playing your piano and you sang.
Yes.
And I think at that time too, I bought my most recent keyboard, my 88 keys, which is a Casio. And I tell you, that thing is heavy to carry around. But I think even both yourself and our other mutual friend, Atlan Morgan, we can testify that being a keys player is not easy, especially when you lug your gear around.
Yes, it is definitely a challenge. I wish I was playing the guitar many times, but I've been really lucky that, I've been able to actually use my friend's keyboard a lot. We share. Atlin has been bringing hers quite a lot, and we have a group for all of the keyboards player. We try to share that with each other.
That's right. We, just for the record, folks, some of us in the piano community, we try to take turns bringing certain keyboards to certain open mics. So a lot of work goes behind the scenes, and maybe not everybody knows about that.
Yeah, probably not. This thing is heavy.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly. It would always be a bonus when we go to an open mic night and there's a piano provided all ready for us, all ready to go.
That happens in some places, and it's always really nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
I tried to make that happen at the Lamb Jam open mic night. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I need to come to that. I haven't come yet.
Oh, yes. As of July 31st, 2024. It hasn't happened yet, but we know it will eventually.
There you go.
So let's talk about your musical journey. Like I said, the first time I saw you was last year, 2023, at the open mic night at Granville Island Blind Pig Festival. They put that stuff together. And you got a chance to even showcase your stuff at one of the shows that they've set up, where you play in front of a nice intimate crowd at the lounge area of that theater. Now let's travel back in time, though. How did you get into songwriting, and how did you even get into piano in the first place?
Oh wow, okay, good question. My parents love music, and they always thought it would be important for their children to learn music. So that was one thing I am grateful for my parents.
Awesome.
And from very young age, I went to the conservatory in France.
Yeah.
In France. So I started when I was like 5, I think.
Yeah.
And it would be like called the musical garden. I mean, jardin musical. I don't know. It's like for the very, very young, where you just listen to music and get accustomed to what music is. And I really wanted, my bigger sister was playing the piano. And so
Awesome.
when they asked me, what instrument do you want to play? I was like, well, I want to play the piano because that's what my sister does. But I actually didn't start that time because they told me, you're too young to play the keyboard. I was like, oh, what? I'm 5. I'm tall enough.
How's that possible? You know?
I don't know. I mean, so then they're like, choose another instrument. So actually, it's the first decision I made that I was like terrified to make the wrong decision.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, I was really like, what do I need to say? And I remember hesitating between the recorder and the flute, and in the end I chose the recorder, but I don't know if that's what I wanted. Anyway, it was like one of my first issues with decision makings, and I was 5, and so I played the recorder as my first instrument, and I actually did that at the conservatory for like 7 years, so until I was 13 years old. That was my instrument. So I was playing the soprano and then the alto, and I was going through the theory of music and stuff. And then when I turned 13, I had a new teacher and I didn't like him. And I told my mom, I want to quit conservatory.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was pretty sudden and brutal. And my mom was like, what? What are you talking about? So yeah, I don't know what happened that day, but it was, I just said, that's it. I don't want to be there. And so I decided to start the piano at home with a private teacher.
Okay.
So that's actually how I went back to piano.
Yeah.
And that's actually also what brought me to singing, because my piano teacher, so she was also teaching my sister also had started to take lessons at home because the conservatory was just very strict and stuff.
Oh yeah, very stressful too, right?
Very stressful. So we had the same teacher. She was very kind, and she also sang in a band.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so she was a songwriter as well. And so I took lessons with her. And then when I turned 16, I think, I was starting to realize I really liked singing, but it was kind of something I've always done, but didn't think I was.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It was, and then one day, I don't know, maybe I discussed that with her. Or I don't know. She asked me, would you like me to teach you how to sing?
Wow.
And I was like, well, hell yeah. Like, I mean, so I don't know why I didn't think of that. Like, and then she said, I can even teach you how to accompany yourself while you sing.
Oh, amazing.
Like, well, yeah. So I had my first singing lessons with her at my parents' house in the living room. And at first, my best friend was actually doing the lessons with me.
Oh, okay.
I would have my piano lesson 1 hour, and then my friend would come and we would do the singing together.
Awesome.
But she didn't continue after a year. She was like, okay, well, it was fun, but it was not for her.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was like the favorite time of my week.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, I'm continuing. I'm loving this.
Yes, of course. Rightfully so.
Yeah, so that's how it kind of all started. And she taught me how to kind of use the guitar chords to accompany myself instead of reading. So that's how I learned like really easily how to do that and read partitions for pop songs and stuff.
Oh, that's amazing. And you mentioned earlier that you got years of experience playing the recorder. So let's review it. So you play piano, you sing, and you play recorder.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we're missing here?
I mean, I learned a little bit of guitar, but I'm not good. Like I know chords. I've written some songs with the guitar.
Yeah.
And I also took some drums lessons, and I love it. But I'm not a drum player. But the few lessons I've had was like the best thing ever too. It made me feel so good. And I was
amazing.
Really, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you ever go back to playing drums again, just for the fun of it?
If I had time, because it's just like finding priorities right now.
Course,
but if I had all the time in the world, I would love to do drums again. It's so empowering, especially as a woman. I don't know. It's like you can be loud.
Yeah.
And you're the one being loud. Like it's so fun. And I love being on rhythm. Like rhythm has always been like something that comes natural to me and that I love. Yeah. So it's like it's both things that I just love.
I think like once you get more into drumming, when you do have the capacity to do so, honestly, like you're going to have that habit of like tapping every object that you see, you know,
Probably.
pots and pans, right? The table, you know, your sofa, whatever it may be. You're just going to like hit it in proper rhythm. And yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think we know from our personal experience at the open mic nights, our good friend Kiana brings egg shakers to the open
Yep.
mics. So even though there's no drum set there, we can accompany all these different performers who may need a bit of backup on the percussion with the egg shakers or
Totally.
tambourine, whatever Kiana brings over. Thank you, Kiana, by the way.
Yes, thanks, Kiana.
And it's great, of course, you know, with the performer's permission.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So that's cool that with your background too, that you have a teacher who's been more encouraging versus the academy. And so how was that teacher different from that strict academy teacher that you had?
Actually, with regards to my recorder teacher, I always had really nice teachers that were
Awesome.
really encouraging to me.
Cool.
So it was more like the solfège. Is it how you say in English also, or solfège? Like the theory of music. How is it? We call it solfège in French. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It's like learning how to read music and how to
Too technical?
technical. Like I liked it, but they were really strict and really kind of mean.
Oh,
like
man.
it was a little scary. But
Yeah.
to be honest, it's just only because of that new teacher that scared me, I think, for some reason, that I left. But yeah, I don't know, because all of the teachers I've had were very encouraging, I think, actually. It's more like my parents were a little bit critical, like, and hard to please. So
Right.
they would be more like, I mean, but with music, they always told me it was good. But yeah, I don't know.
What do you think makes a good music teacher? Let's say if you were to teach students, what do you think would impact the students in a positive way?
Yeah, I think patience and empathy and really encouragement and knowing that making mistakes is just a way to learn, and emphasizing on the strength and believing in the students' potential, and just having that faith in them, and then let them flourish in that, and really get to know them and know what they like and what they want to do. And maybe I like that she asked me if I wanted to sing. Maybe it was like, she really asked me what I wanted in a way. And so it might sound stupid, but yeah, sometimes you need some people to tell you that. And yeah, she was very kind, and she was very encouraging with me in what I wanted to do.
That's good.
And telling me my voice was pretty, and
good.
Yeah.
I'm assuming she gives like really like a fair constructive feedback if there's something you need to work on, right?
So yeah, I think so. It's hard to remember now because it's been a long time, and I've had many teachers since then.
Right.
But she was my first one, and she would tell me, no, do it differently, or like, yes, that's the way to do it. Yeah, that's good.
Or oh, hey, try this instead.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, totally. But it's not easy singing teachers. I just took actually a vocal class again yesterday with someone named Emeline, and she's in the community too. She's really great, and I hadn't had any voice lessons for 3 years. And I was like feeling super vulnerable. I'm like, oh, I don't even know how to sing anymore, and I'm not doing it right, or I don't know, I go through those phases. And but I think it's always good to keep learning, even when you've done it for a long time. You want to keep growing, and I know that sometimes my voice goes in the wrong place, and it can sound good, but I know I'm not doing it right. And so because I want to be more professional and to really be able to sustain myself, so I want to make sure I'm doing it right.
Yeah, for sure. Just be thankful that you do not have that experience like that movie Whiplash, if you ever seen that movie.
I actually saw that movie.
Oh my goodness.
And I loved it.
Yeah. But man, right?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And it's such a very like dark but yet very fascinating movie at the same time, because like part of me wanted to get back to playing and improving on my drum skills in a way, but at the same time too, like when I looked at that movie in a more deeper level, not to spoil the movie to anybody out here, but I encourage everyone to see that movie, especially if you're a drummer.
Yeah.
But just mind you, it is really intense.
Yes.
But if you can get past that, you will enjoy it so much and appreciate it in every way possible. But just like that whole concept of that movie, you know, dealing with a very strict drum teacher or jazz band conductor who, it's like being in the army basically. And it's really scary and intense. And then if you look deeper into the movie, you know, the whole story, it's a lot darker than you think, but it's super enjoyable at the same time. I don't know why I'm fascinated by it. Maybe that's what it is, just like the storyline and everything.
Yeah, I feel like life is pretty intense.
Yeah.
You can't escape it.
Yeah.
There's darkness and there's cool stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think this movie is great even for non-drummers. Like I did not drum before when I saw that movie, and I really loved it.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So let's talk about your musical influences. Were there any artists or even composers that you admired growing up? You're like, wow, this is an amazing singer-songwriter, or wow, this person writes like the most beautiful piece I've ever heard.
There's a lot. Like it's always hard for me to know like on the top of my head. But I think if I think back when I was younger, and then I would really be fascinated by singers who have a very powerful voice.
Yeah.
So I would listen a lot to Céline Dion and to
of course.
Lara Fabian. And I would spend like hours looking at the lyrics and just being on my bed, just taking it in and taking all the music, even Mariah Carey. And I was fascinated by those kind of women. And then as I grew up, my taste got changed a bit, and it went more with folk kind of things or pop rock or I know like my dad bought me a CD when I was 12 of someone called Heather Nova. I don't know if you know her, but she did some kind of pop things, and I really liked it. Or then I love like Cat Power, like, and old things also. Like I used to listen a lot to what's her name, Nina Simone, or to what's his name? Shoot, I'm really bad with names. Loved a lot Nora Jones too.
Nora Jones? Yeah. I think she was in town recently, if I believe.
She was here yesterday.
Yeah, just yesterday. Yesterday, July 30th, 2024.
Yeah, I wish I had gone, man. And I listened to her a lot. Ray Charles, I was going to say.
Ray Charles,
those kind of... Yeah. I'm really into like old American standards too, kind of thing.
That's right,
Like really love those voices. And but I also love like the French... We call it like variété, so it's just kind of singer-songwriters in France with like all of those lyrics, and so it's have a wide influence.
Right on.
But I would think like really my style has been most influenced by those women and the way they sing, and then the melody, and that's kind of what is most attractive to me.
Yeah, and earlier you were just mentioning Celine Dion just now, right?
Yeah.
And we know she made, as of last week, like late July here, at the France Summer Olympics, Celine Dion made a comeback.
Yeah, she was amazing. I was so excited because she's going through some kind of disease, and
that's right.
That's very hard, and she sang so well, and she is absolutely stunning.
What was your first Celine song?
Oh, well, her first French album, composed by the French composer Jean-Jacques Goldman.
Mm-hmm, that's right,
so it's 1994. It's called Deux, Deux, and I know the whole album. That's the one. I mean, everybody in France knows the whole album, to be fair.
Yeah.
It was really a huge hit, and it's what made her really big in France. And it was just amazing songs, and she sings amazing really well. So it was together. It was just oh my God, it was incredible. And and I just like her as a person too. I mean, I don't know her obviously personally, but she's just such a authentic person, kind heart, it looks like. So
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But yeah, pour que tu m'aimes mon corps, like J'irai où tu iras. It's all in French, but it's all of the.
Yes.
And then she did Titanic, but
yes,
but anyway,
the most iconic soundtrack she did. Yeah.
But I don't think that's what really, like, I don't think of those songs when I write my own songs, I would say. Like, that's not really the styles but it's just more like in terms of singing, that's what really impacted me, I would say.
The first song I ever heard from her was, what was it? All Coming Back to Me. And I think,
okay.
And I think that's also, believe it or not, a karaoke favorite besides Titanic. My Heart Will Go On. But yeah, It's All Coming Back to Me was a really, like, it was quite an epic and very unusual hit single I would hear on the radio personally, because like, we were always, at least, for me growing up, I was always so used to, the typical bubblegum pop music that you would hear, right? And then this song came along, and I'm like, this is very different. It's like theatrical, it's epic. And it was written by the guy who wrote for Meatloaf, actually. And then Meatloaf eventually sang that song many years later. But going back to Celine Dion, though, I'm just like, yeah, this is like so different. But and I remember like the whole town enjoyed it. They were like, yeah, everyone's like reciting the chorus of the song, and I'm just like, wow, I guess people are liking Celine Dion's single here.
Yeah, I think she's just a really powerful singer, and
yeah.
But I'm kind of like, I have phases where like I get really into a singer for like a period of time or an album, and then I listen to it like. For a long time, like I just had my Taylor Swift period now where I've been crazy about her. So I'm really like, usually people are like either they like mainstream or they like non-mainstream, and I'm really both. Yeah. Like I see the value in both, and I love both, and I think they're
same here.
So I just want to say that because sometimes people are very like, well, it's such a famous person, but that's because they're really good.
Yes.
I don't know.
You also mentioned Mariah Carey. What is it that you enjoy so much about her?
I think it was her voice too, which is she's mind blowing. Like she can sing. So high and so low, and it's very emotional too, her singing.
Of course. Yeah That's amazing. And like when you mentioned Celine and Mariah, I'm just like, these two are legends already.
Yeah
If you could have the opportunity to sing with Celine on any song of your choice, what would it be if you were to have a duet?
I would say another French song, but from another album, and S'il suffisait d'aimer.
Yeah. Awesome.
One of the most beautiful. Yeah.
If you could sing with Taylor, which one would it be?
Oh my God. Sorry, I'm really excited about it right now. I'm still hoping to manifest going to her concert in December here in Vancouver, but we'll see because it's so expensive.
Yeah.
But it's going to be her last one of her Eras tour.
That's right. Yeah.
Maybe Who's Afraid of Little Old Me from her new album.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And with her coming in December of 2024 this winter, I'm going to bet you she's going to sing some stuff from her Christmas album.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, because if it's close to Christmas time, then there's a good chance.
Maybe. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Good point.
Taylor, if you're listening, you know what to do. I'm just kidding. It's up to her.
Up to her.
Yeah, it's up to her. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, and please let Charlotte sing with you, please.
Oh my God. I don't know if I would be on top of that, but yeah.
Hey, Taylor can just be like,
She's so good.
She's like, you know what? I'm bored. I need to spice it up a little bit. I know. I'm going to grab something for the audience to sing with me. Hey, how about you? What's your name? Oh, my name's Charlotte. All right, coming up, Charlotte. Let's sing the song together.
Oh my God, yeah. She's so good. Like she can sing for 3 hours and a half. Like it's insane.
Oh, no, trust me. Yeah.
She's an athlete. Like
it takes a great deal of energy, but plus it takes a great deal of being in good shape and internally speaking, and to do that for 3 hours, but not only that, like doing that almost every day.
Yeah.
I think she's getting quite the workout.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think she's getting tired. But yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. And you were talking about supporting not so mainstream music as well.
Yes.
And now you're here in Vancouver, BC.
Yeah.
So we got the chance to connect with you, and you connected with everybody else in the local music scene here in Vancouver. So I guess let's start off. What made you decide to go to Vancouver in the first place?
Well, that's a big and good question. I'm often asked that. It's a long story, I would say.
Yeah.
But so when I was younger, whenever I was imagining my future and everybody was seeing their future like, oh, getting married and having children.
That's right.
Not saying I don't want that, I do, but that's not what I was seeing. I was more seeing myself traveling and living abroad and meeting people and being an artist. So it was kind of like, well, anyway, and I never felt like I belonged really in France. I just love speaking English, and I love being living in a foreign country.
Right.
And I was my dream was to be in the US because I've experienced living there for some period of time in my life. Yeah. And it was always one of the best times of my life. And I always felt at home in the US. There's something that I was not expecting that I didn't think I would feel at home in the US, but every time I go, I feel like this is where I belong. Right. And so my dream has been to move to the US, which is a little complex. And and I thought, well, so I feel kind of awkward saying that because then I feel like Canada is my plan B. Right. And then I feel like I'm being mean to Canadians. But okay, I'm just telling the truth. But anyway, and then I thought, well, Canada is close to the US and it's still like North America kind of feeling, you know? It's
That's
like
right,
there's you guys are different, but there is a lot of similarities compared to Europe.
That's
like
right.
It's very close. And so for a long time, I was like, no, I don't want to go to Canada. I want to go to the US. I don't want to go. But it kept coming back. Canada could be actually a good thing. And at some point, I was like, you know what? Okay, I really want to be in North America. So I finally, after years, took me a long time. I applied to the work and holiday visa.
Oh, okay.
And I got accepted. It's a lottery. It's genuinely a lottery.
It is, yes.
So I got it, and I was like, perfect. Now I have a year to move. And I was like, where am I going now? And I always thought, because I always cared about the US first, when I thought about Canada, I always thought I'll go to Vancouver. I have no idea why. It was just the city. I thought that was cool, and that was on the West Coast because I wanted to live on the West Coast, have that kind of feeling.
So you weren't thinking about Toronto initially?
I was not thinking of Toronto, but when the time came to actually move, I started to be like, wait a minute, maybe I could go to Toronto. Maybe I could be in Montreal. Maybe. So it was a hard time at that point when I decided to move. I was like, oh, now I have all of these options. Actually, where do I go? How do I know what's best for me? And it was kind of, so what I did is I booked my plane ticket from Paris to Montreal because I thought at least I'll be in Canada and then I'll see. That felt far enough for a first. And and I applied to jobs and I was like, I'm going to apply in the 3 cities and I'm gonna see which one gets first.
Exactly.
And Vancouver came first, and I got a job offer when I was in Montreal for Vancouver, and I'm well, that's where I always wanted to go. They're giving me a job. That's it. So I went.
Awesome.
That's how I arrived here. But for a long time I thought maybe I made the wrong decision, and maybe that, but then it's just my own. I'm someone that very has lots of doubts often, about her own decisions and stuff. So that's just my cycle, and I know what I want, and then I will think maybe that's not true, but then actually I'm like, oh no, that's what I wanted. That's exactly what I wanted.
It seems like it happens to a lot of us, right? It's like the idea and the planning seems very exciting. Yeah. And then when it actually happens, come the day of, then it's like,
Yeah, two different things. The whole packing and moving was not not as easy as I thought.
Yeah.
It was so complicated. I was like,
Oh.
oh my God, the idea is cool, makes you happy, but the doing it,
Yeah.
it's a different story.
And not to mention the commute too, the
Oh,
travel,
well, yeah.
right?
And it was pretty intense, but it was it was an interesting thing. And I went by myself,
Yeah,
like,
that's
and
right.
I had I didn't know anyone in
Yeah.
Canada. And I was like, well, I think Vancouver is nice. There's nature and there's also the city, so I can have that kind of balance that I'm looking for in my
The
life.
views and all that too.
The what?
The views.
Yeah, the views, and because in Paris, I was living in Paris, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous, and it's lively, but there's no nature in Paris really to
That's
hold
right.
on to. It's just parks, and they're very small.
That's right.
So
yeah.
I mean, it's just it's nothing compared to Vancouver for sure
Yeah.
in terms of nature. So I was really looking forward to that, but I also wanted to sing because my dream was I'm going to be a singer, or I want to be a singer, and other things, but that's mainly what I want to do. And I want to live in North America. And every time I was in France and I started to kind of develop things, I always had that thing in me that was like, no, but you're not supposed to be here anyway, so why do you want to develop things here?
Yeah, that's
Which
right.
was maybe my own resistance, but
Yeah.
but now that I had moved, I thought, no more excuses, because now you are in North America.
Yeah.
Now you're here, so now you've done it. And to be honest, it was, it took me years to actually do it. So when I actually did it, I was like, holy crap, I can do anything, because I didn't have a lot of money. I went by myself.
Right.
I am in low or no contact with my family, sort of. So it's
Right.
like I didn't have support, that made me feel like it's okay, I have backup plans. And no, I was pretty much trusting the universe and trusting my dream, and I jumped.
You took a huge chance, basically.
I took a huge chance on me and on what I had always thought inside of me that I needed to do.
Yeah.
And when I actually did it, and that it went well, I didn't die.
Yeah, exactly.
I had some panic moments, I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
in the streets of Vancouver, when I arrived, and craziness. But
Yeah.
I had the job, it went well, and I even could stay in my 5-star hotel for 3 weeks complimentary, which I was not expected. And
There you
I ended
go.
up spending Christmas in the hot tub with champagne, which I was like, what the hell is going on? So it was just, I was like, okay, I had that moment of I can do anything. Actually, I had big adrenaline. And then I thought, well, now that next priority is singing.
Yeah.
And so now I'm going to stop hiding.
Yeah.
And the first step is go to open mics, do your songs, and see what happens.
That's right.
And
yeah.
that was the first step.
Yeah. And here you are now.
And here I am today.
Yes.
And I'm so happy that I did that, because this has been the main positive things about me being in Vancouver.
That's right.
Because the work has been a little hard. It was very challenging, lots of hours and stuff. So it wasn't the most positive things, I would say. I mean, it was nice, but anyway. But the music and meeting the people has been what, oh my God, made me hold on to and think, okay, I did the right choice. And it's working, meaning it's moving, when you feel like there's no resistance, and you meet this person, who then you meet this person, and then you go to this event, and then this happened. And it's it just happens naturally, and you don't have to force anything.
That's right.
And that's what's happening to me. And I've never lived it like that for music. So I'm I feel like I am at the right place.
Yeah.
And that I did the right choice in a way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah. But what I love about the fact that now you're here with us, right? We have to give a big shout out to last year's Blind Pig Festival for bringing all of us together in the first place.
Yeah.
And without that, so big thanks to Emily and what's the co-host name? My apologies ahead of time, folks. I think it was Rob.
Maybe.
That was co-hosting with Emily. Anyways, yeah, because Emily's a longtime friend of mine. So, but big shouts to Emily and the gang, just to play it safe. My apologies if your name's not Rob, but if it is, awesome. If not, I'm really sorry.
Yeah. That was so nice to be able to sing on that stage.
It is,
that's amazing.
Yeah, and
for me, I have to say, oh, sorry, you want me to?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
I would like to thank Jordana, because Jordana Delgado, I think you will also probably interview her at some point.
Yes, actually, you know what? Atlin and I, we foreshadowed this. We were like, yes, we will predict that this will happen one day.
Yes, I think it will happen.
We actually, we had Atlin Morgan as one of my guests, not too, about from episode, I forgot my episode number, but she was my previous guest before at the Eddie Lam Show. And we actually did mention, we should get like Charlotte and Jordana as guests for future episodes. And so we're like, yeah, we're gonna make that happen. And now here we are.
Yeah, and Jordana and Atlin have been kind of like the my close friends that I've made here, and that have been key for me. And I guess when I started to go to open mics, I was too scared to go to the Vancouver open mics because somehow it felt too vulnerable. I thought, no, this is gonna be real artists, and I'm gonna feel like I'm not good enough. I don't know why. That's how. So I was like, I'm gonna go. No offense to New West, but I was like, I'm gonna go to a New West open mic. For some reason, just being a bit farther away made it easier for me. And so I started by going to Georgie's open mic in New West, and that was actually an amazing place for me to start. And it's hosted by Jenny.
That's right, Jenny Doyle.
Absolutely amazing, and she was so kind, and she was always like very encouraging with me, and everybody in the crowd was super encouraging. So that was the first open mic I used to go like every Tuesday.
Right on. Yeah.
And one day I went, and Jordana was there with her husband.
That's right.
And we met and we started talking, and then I really felt, when you feel like you're meeting someone not important in the sense of like VIP, but in the sense of like that, I don't know, it's just a good meeting. Like it's gonna
the chemistry.
There's a chemistry, and something good is coming out of that somehow. I felt that, and so I felt it was important, and it was really a good thing. And so we started to develop this friendship, and then she was the one that was like, let's go to Container in Vancouver.
In East Van,
In East Van too. I was like, to Vancouver open mic. And so in May last year we went to Container, where Jason was hosting.
That's right.
And that's where I met all of the other crews, and I was like, and that was a big moment for me because it was like, oh my god, it was almost like finding my tribe. Like it really felt like
kindred spirits or whatever they call it.
Yes, really, really. I was like, there was Elisa, there was Jason, and I don't know who else, but it was just great. And and I thought, okay, I am part of these people. Maybe I do belong. Maybe I'm not, not part of it, and I can do this. So that was the first step for me. And then I started more and more, and I actually went a lot to open mics, and then I became close to Atlin and to a lot of other people, and Erica, and
the whole gang, Frankie and the Lost Souls. Yeah,
and Kiana, and
that whole crew, and Sean from the Yukon, of course.
Oh yeah, Sean,
yes, can't forget him.
Absolutely, with Batch, and just organizing really cool events.
Well, the thing I about Jenny Doyle and I, like, we go way back, like almost 20 years actually, because she and I collaborated together musically for a little bit. Her, myself, and our old friend Jericho, all three of us, we had a trio called what's kind of funny is the name was called Siamese, but we were a trio. And or actually more like Jenny and Jericho were more of the like the main part, but I was helping them out as like their musical accompaniment basically. But we have recorded a song together in the studio and all that. But overall though,
I had no idea.
Overall though, I remember though with Jen being a solid singer. And then I know she didn't do music for a while, and she came back. And then the next thing you knew, she started playing in bands, and then she started hosting open mics. And then I'm just like, wow, it's like she came back, but at a whole nother level, right? Yeah. And so I was just so proud to see Jen do such a good job building that community through that Georgie's open mic night. And so I thought that was brilliant what she did, but it's so glad and encouraging to hear that, she treat you really well as a guest, right?
Oh yeah,
and,
she's so kind.
Yeah, and I think,
love her.
Yeah, and of course we give a big shout out to Sean and Jason for being great hosts as well, and the folks from Trees, Mark from Trees.
Oh yeah, Trees has been huge also. So yeah, I did my debut at Trees last year in September.
That's
and
right,
actually
yeah.
played with Jordana and Atlin on the same night.
That's right. You guys sang as a trio together, right?
We did one song as a trio.
Yeah.
The rest we were like doing our own things, but
Yeah.
we did an a cappella song that Atlin wrote.
That's right.
So gorgeous. And yeah, it was everybody. It's funny because I have it on my Instagram, and all my colleagues at work, that's always the video they talk to me about.
That's
And
right,
they're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's so beautiful. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's gorgeous.
That's amazing. I asked Atlin this, so now I want to hear from you. What is it that you enjoyed about working with Atlin? Because I asked her last time, I think, what she enjoyed working about you, so, and Jordana. But yeah, I want to hear from your perspective.
Yeah.
Yep, your experience working with actually both Jordana and Atlin. Maybe we can start with Atlin first.
Yeah. Well, I love working with Atlin. Like she's super talented, and she's really quick, and she's very inspired, and like it flows if I'm doing something with her.
Yeah.
It's like even when we did an open mic together where we sang a duet together, and we actually rehearsed half of it in the bus. That's kind of
Really?
yeah,
This actually happened.
No, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Because we're just kind of like, she's got a lot of things going on at the same time, and I'm kind of the same, and so we're just like, oh yeah, let's just do this and let's do that, and then it just kind of flows, and I think that's what I really like.
Yeah.
It just feels like natural and easy, and also like she has an amazing voice. She's just an amazing singer.
Yeah.
She has an amazing voice, and she's an amazing writer, like singer-songwriter. Like for me, she's kind of got it all, and she's really like trained also. Like she knows music.
Yeah.
She studied it, and you can tell and she's just the kindest person. Like when you go to her place, and she just makes you coffee and make you feel good, and
exactly.
we go get our sandwich, and it's just a really cool and I love her family, and we developed this really nice authentic bond. So I think that's what I really liked. Like she's the kindest person ever. Like kindest. And so that's what I like about working with Atlin, I guess. I would like to work more with her. I think she's just so busy. Like she's amazing.
And not to mention, she records her music too.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Big props to her for that.
She also does that too. And she's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So. I say she's what we call one of the most DIY musicians. Like do-it-yourself musician.
And it's very inspiring too to see that.
Exactly. And I think that was a great thing I feel about this local scene is that when it comes to being independent artists, there's so many possibilities that we could do, and it's all thanks to, of course, with using internet apps that can get us out there. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, we don't have to respond to any labels or anything like that too. It's like if we want to release something, we will. And I think what was great about seeing Atlin releasing her music is that every time she hypes it up, it's like, oh, hey, I got this new song coming. And I'm just like, oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. I know it.
Yeah, she does her promo.
Yeah.
And it's exciting also, I guess, knowing her and knowing sometimes the behind of the scene is fun, like how she does the pictures and just have fun with her husband, and just like it's just really fun. It's
exactly.
It looks like she's just having fun and following her passion and just going for it, and all together while being a mother and
exactly.
So exactly, and working.
Yes. So thank you, Atlin, for being an amazing person.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So let's go to Jordana. So what do you love so much about working with her?
Jordana is very organized. Like she's the contrary of me. So we're actually very complementary.
Really?
We work pretty well together. I think because we're super complementary.
Yeah.
First, I love her as a person. Also, like she's a really dear friend of mine.
Yeah.
And she's also an amazing musician. She's a pianist. She composes piano music. Like to me, that's like I'm like honored that she asked me to do anything with her. I'm like, this is amazing. Like,
That's cool.
Yeah, like I'm just like, okay, sure, I can sing with you. I mean,
Yeah.
you're amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
And then she kind of pushes me to be a bit more organized and to
That's
rehearse. And so it's kind of like the contrary, but it's like
Yeah.
I need both. It's like if I'm talking about their strengths, right?
Yeah.
And like and so Jordana is everything is really well prepared, and like
Yeah.
it's just like we have the time and we do it, and we rehearse another time, and then she also gives me her opinions, and I mean same, yeah, but it's just, I don't know, there's just something really sweet also about singing with your friends. It's just
yeah.
the best feeling. Yeah,
Yeah.
you feel like, because it's not just music, but it's like it's the best way to give support to each other.
That's right.
It's
yeah.
like when I sing with them, I don't know, I'm like, I couldn't be with anyone else right now
Yeah.
to feel better. Like there's the trust.
Yes.
I guess there's a huge trust and the love. So
Yeah.
we know that there's not going to be any judgment, and we're supporting each other.
That's right.
And we're also, doing something of good quality, hopefully.
Yes,
So it's
of
like,
course, yeah.
so it's just the best. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So Jordana, thank you so much for being a part of the music scene. So
Yes.
our salute to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has helped me a lot too.
Yes, she definitely has. Yes. So big props to her.
Yeah.
So you had your debut performance at Trees, like you mentioned, not too long ago, early in the summertime.
Yeah, it was, my debut was last year in September.
Oh, right. Yeah, sorry. My apologies.
Oh,
Yes.
that's okay.
Yeah.
It was my third one in June. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Because I remember, you were playing at, it was, what was it?
At the Bastille Day? Or?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, yeah. I was also playing Bastille Day.
Yes, that's right.
In July for the second time, which I was pretty happy about. I'm like,
Yeah.
because it was great. I have the chance to have the French community, I guess, that gives me opportunities as well here. So
Yeah.
I'm really grateful to that too. Yeah.
That is so amazing.
And it's also kind of like, people are like, how did you do that? Because you just arrived to Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. It's just been coincidences. And doing the steps, but then I move in with my roommate, and she actually was like, oh, there's an open mic thing with the French community in March.
Yeah.
You should apply. And so I applied, and then I played, and then this girl that came as well, she said to me, well, actually, I'm part of organizing Bastille Day. Would you like to play Bastille Day? And,
Oh my goodness.
And that was it. Like, and then they asked me to play again this year. Well, I don't know if they will ask me again. But I mean, it just kind of happens like that. And
They should put you next year. They should.
thanks.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was very intimidating because it's a big scene, like it's on the shipyard.
That stage is huge at the shipyards in North Van.
Huge.
Yeah.
And the first year I played really by myself, and I was so intimidated.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people the first year. I think there was a little less people this year for some reason. I don't know, but it was just, I was freaked out the whole time I was singing the first year.
Right.
And the whole time I was like, oh my God. But then you're really happy you've done it. And I can tell this year I felt less intimidated already, but still always. But yeah.
Well, I feel like the fact that they asked you 2 years in a row, it means they trust you.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
And I think that's really important in the music scene that, we have, like you mentioned, with you and Jordana working together, and you and Atlan working together. That's what it is. It's like the part of chemistry is the trust.
That's true.
And I think that's amazing. And so I'm really glad that the folks at the shipyards have asked you 2 years in a row. So that says a lot, in my personal opinion. And even the fact that Mark got you to play at Trees for your solo stuff as well not too long ago, that says a lot. And
thank you.
Yeah,
because I get like my imposter syndrome a lot, and I'm like, oh my God,
trust
nobody
me.
thinks
Yes,
I'm good.
I've been there too. And when I had all these things happening to me on my social media channels during the pandemic, like, I was just like, why me, man? Like, seriously? Why don't you just go follow that guy? I know exactly how you feel. It's real. Like, I think I'm sure a lot of us musicians may have experienced that feeling before too.
It's very
Yeah. So I guess that leads me to this next part of the conversation. Like, how have you overcome such thoughts when it comes to the imposter syndrome? Or are you thinking, well, I'm honored, but at the same time, like, why? Like, how did you overcome
honestly, I still have them, but I guess they come back every time it's a new challenge.
Yeah.
But how I've overcome them, because at first, even my first open mics I play, I would have in my brain thoughts that tell me while I'm playing, this sucks, nobody cares, it sucks.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, as I'm playing, that's what my brain is telling me. And I'm like, that's great. I have to still continue and act like I'm not hearing that in my brain.
Yeah.
But I don't have that anymore. Because I think it's because I have shown my brain that I don't care and that I keep doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So it has kind of stopped. It has realized it doesn't need to do that anymore.
Right.
But confidence is a huge... I used to have zero self-esteem at all when I was younger. So I worked a lot to even have enough self-esteem and confidence to even go to an open mic. Because I think that first step is actually probably the hardest one.
Yeah.
And then the ball gets a little bit more rolling. But then, for example, right now I want to do like, okay, I love to play at Kilt & Co. or like something like that.
In Gastown, yes.
Oh my God,
right,
that would be so cool.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but I'm like, okay, I have to... It's the same, and I just gotta trust and just do step by step, and preparation I think has been important in helping me to overcome it, and just also start listening to the actual feedback I'm getting instead of what my brain is telling me.
Yeah.
And I had a thing, because I had such a hard time to believe it, that I noted down. This sounds really dumb, maybe, but even the slightest compliments I would get, because of how not confident I was and I can be, I would actually write it down, not to like look at it every day, but to have it for the days where I'm having those doubts, and to be like, let's go to the facts. What have people been telling you? And what has happened? And then I can go through that and be like, oh wait, actually I've been told that, and I've been told that. And so why would people tell me that if it's not true? Because then you can think people are lying. I mean, it can go very far, the imposter syndrome.
Yes.
So it's just kind of like, but it's also, there's no point really in it, because at the end of the day, it's like, I'm just doing it because I love to do it. And who cares in a way? Like, and I'm not forcing anyone to offer me gigs. And if I suck, then I won't have any. And if I don't suck, then I'll get opportunities. But it's just like, let's just see what happens and stop worrying so much about, is it good enough or not good enough? Let's just be the best that we can be and do the best we can do, and the rest we can't control.
Yeah.
So it's kind of learning to control what you can and not what. That's
awesome. You were mentioning confidence, and I'm so glad you mentioned that too, because I remember a long time ago when I wanted to know more about how to improve my stage presence as a performer. I remember I came across this one YouTube video, and there's this one workshop that was on video where this guy, one celebrity he actually mentioned, and I didn't think of it at first, but then I looked back, I'm like, this guy, he actually mentioned Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. And he's one of those guys, he's obviously not the best dancer in the world, right? But the thing is, he still just, goofs around on stage in a fun way. It's because he doesn't care, and because he builds that confidence. Yeah. And even though maybe he's goofing around on stage, but in a fun way. But people like that, and it's because he doesn't care. But not only that, he's having a good time, and he loves the crowd. He loves the music, and he's enjoying it.
Yeah, and I think also what I've noticed for myself is that the days where I cared the least about impressing anyone or trying to where I was just like, I'm just gonna, because I think doing my own song helps me more to be in that authentic place where I'm just doing it for myself and not.
That's right.
Because it's like, I'm just sharing my life with you guys, and I just take it as therapy for me. I'm like, it is, I'm just doing that for myself. In a way, but not only, of course, but it's like, that's just what I do, and nobody can say anything because I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I can do the song the way I want. That's my freedom. That's the cool part about this life. That's the freedom, and you don't have to like it, but I can do what I want. And so in a way, and so I realized when I don't care and when I'm in kind of that energy of like, I have nothing to prove, I'm just doing it for myself. That's when people gave me the best feedbacks, and
that's right.
They were like, oh my God, I loved it and this. But that's because I was really into what I was doing, and I was just enjoying it and believing in it, and just not being apologetic, just doing it. And I think people just like that. And at the end of the day, also, I'm just thinking there's no other goal, because at the end of the day, you will always want more, right? There's always another level, another thing. And that's tiring. And at the end of the day, we can be happy now. What are we looking for? We're looking to be happy, right? And we think I can only be happy once I'm this. No, because once you're this, you want to be that. So can I just enjoy myself? And I do want to do a good thing. I do want to become a professional, and I do want to all of that. But in the meantime, I'm having at the time of my life, and I'm having fun, and I'm sharing. And every time I take that step to go on stage at the open mic or at a gig, it's a huge thing for me, because I used to not be able to do that. So every time I do that, I am opening myself. I am gaining in confidence for myself, gaining in self-esteem, and I'm being more brave, and so I'm more brave to do other stuff.
Yeah, and your recent performances, it really shows. And I think that just the fact that when you're playing, like for example, at the open mics, people are actually paying attention to you, at least from my personal experience. Just so we have that on a record here, folks. And I just love that, and it's just the fact that. You sing it. You can sing either in English or in your, or en français in your own language, right? But even if it is in a different language that not everyone may know, but just the fact that you are having the time of your life, as you mentioned, I think that's brilliant. I had another person that did say to me too, is that when the performer's having a time of their life, the crowd's going to feel that, and then they're going to have a great time too. Yeah. And I feel like, those emotions that, the enjoyment that you display on stage, it's going to latch on to the audience members, quite honestly. And, I can say that as an audience member myself too. Even if it's like say, if it's like 100 people, or even just 5 people watching you, but even then, if only 5 people show up, those 5 people will have a great time because you had a great time.
That's true. And it doesn't mean that I'm not nervous and not, sometimes I am like, ugh. But I will still be happy in a way because I know where I come from.
Yeah,
because
that's right.
I know what I've overcome to be able to just do that. And so I'm just grateful of that, It's just like, because there's so many people that feel like they have creativity in them and that want to sing and that don't take that step.
That's right.
Because it's actually it's not it takes something. It's a process. So I don't know. I'm just happy about that.
Yes, exactly. So I know with you being like how long have you been living in BC now?
A year and a half, a little bit more than a year and a half.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So with you being in BC for quite some time now, like you said, a year and a half or almost 2 years, maybe if we get some honest feedback from you, what do you feel you want to see more of in the Vancouver music scene?
Oh, well, that's kind of a tough question. I think the open mics thing is great. I think that's definitely what helps us to gain the confidence, especially, and get the ball rolling, and then meeting the people and maybe collaborating. Yeah. So I would want to see even more of that, maybe. Yeah. And then I don't know. I feel like I need to kind of explore more the venues of real show venues. I feel like I've experienced the open mic, but now I kind of need to experience. So I don't know if I have such a big feedback to give about that. Yeah. It feels like I'm quite shocked sometimes of that it's kind of small in a way, because like
Yeah.
we'll often meet the same people at the, and coming from Paris, I'm always kind of shocked about that, because
Yeah.
that rarely happens. Like
That's
you
right, yeah.
you rarely meet the same people.
That's
So
right.
it's like, that's what I like also, because that's what creates that feeling of community.
That's right,
And that
yeah.
what's help us to actually be more confident, I think, that belonging, and to just encourage each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would just want to see more. I don't know if that's a good answer, to be honest.
I think,
yeah.
it's a great start, to be honest with you. I'm glad I'm glad for your input on that. And you ever mentioned the whole thing with the community, because I just love the fact that there was a few of us, like both myself and Atlin, we celebrated our birthdays at the open mic night already.
Yes.
And that was just so much fun. But I think just the fact that like a few of us, including Atlin and I think there was someone else that celebrated her birthday at the open mic as well.
Probably.
I think so, yeah. But just the fact that we
Erica, I think.
Yes, that's right, Erica. Yes. So first of all, big shout out to Erica from Frankie and the Lost Souls. Great people, great band. Check them
Yeah.
out. But just the fact that when we choose to celebrate our important occasions, including our birthdays, at the open mic, I think that says a lot about what that community means to us as local musicians.
Yeah.
And we're not at the same level as Taylor Swift, where we're riding limousines or signing autographs and a bunch of stuff like that. But I think that the fact that we still have some really talented folks, a lot of really talented folks, and we're getting together and just enjoying ourselves. I think that says a lot already about that care factor in that whole scene.
Yeah, and I like how people are really collaborative and like just cheer up for each other.
Yeah, they're not being competitive with each other.
I mean, not that I have seen, like, some exist, I don't know, but from my experience, it hasn't been that, and it's been really just cheerful and encouraging and uplifting, and a big sense of belonging that everybody wants to experience.
Exactly.
Yeah, especially when you're a songwriter and like you're sharing vulnerable parts. It's vulnerable to share your voice, or to share a piece of thing you have written. So it's has double effect, that it's kind people around that.
And I think maybe like the one tip we can give to people out here, like you mentioned, right? Whatever you wrote, I would encourage all you songwriters out there, if you're writing something where you're feeling sad, angry, happy, confused, whatever it may be, at least folks like Charlotte and myself and a bunch of us in the scene, we're here to hear you out, regardless of what emotions those songs have.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because I have a few songs that are kind of angry songs, and I never dared to do them, and then I did them at Container once, I think, and then
I
people
believe
really
you did. Yes.
Oh, yeah, were you there?
Yeah, I think I was there for that. Yes.
Yeah. And I was like, but people liked it, I think, and so it's really healing for me too. It's like, I can express anger in my song, and I think that's why I like Taylor Swift too, because she's really good at that, at expressing anger in her songs, and that's empowering for women, because we're not really taught how to be women that can express anger. That's supposed to be crazy. So anyway, it's another story, but so it's just a really good thing, and
it is,
and to think, no, I can express very vulnerable things, and sometimes I have like this 10-minute song that I did also at the what was the open mic, that was the other Jenny that organized at the what's her name, it's the open mic that's in downtown on the Tuesday. It's like a bar.
Honey Brew.
Honey Brew.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was organized by the other Jenny.
Jenny Duffy.
Big
shout out to Jenny Duffy.
She's so cute. I love her. She's so kind also, and a beautiful voice. And that night I did share like a song I have that's pretty long. Because I'm still having like a hard time to cut it, but it's also because it has a lot of very, very personal and vulnerable parts of my life.
That's right.
And I sang it, and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? But, you know, it was very positive for me. And I think it was a big healing moment. And then,
That's awesome.
And it was, I mean, apparently it was like inspiring to hear it too. So it's
That's
like,
right. Yeah.
it's just a space where you can do that and and it's going to be received without judgment, and it can be good for everyone, for the one doing it, for the one listening, and that's free. Like, I just don't know why not everybody does it. Like, I don't know. It's like, what the hell? Well, it's free therapy, guys.
and you know what, too? When you see these very, very talented folks that are playing at these open mics, right? And because you said, you know, like there are, you know, you see those who, you know, are great, and then there are those who are like, wow, like they're professionals. Like, when I see those kind of folks who are at that level too, I'm just like, here's my money.
Yeah,
here you go. You know,
it's really inspiring, and it makes you want to like improve and like know where to go. And I
know. Yeah. I think for me personally too, like when I see some very talented folks who, you know, give it all they got and they do such a good job at it, I'm just like, man, if I were a label, I would love to sign all these people and just put them on, you know, a nice world tour, you know, book every stadium possible. Yeah. So what's next for you then on your songwriting journey?
Well, I think I would like to really record my album, to be honest, or an EP or something, because I have a lot of songs that need to be recorded.
Yeah.
And every time people are like, oh, are you on Spotify? Are you? And I'm like, well, I kind of need to record. So that's kind of what I would like to work on. And I'm participating into Shipyard's Got Talent next week.
Yes, that's right.
And maybe you can win. I mean, you can maybe win like a recording studio session. So we never know. That would be really cool. And I'm also participating in the Song of the Summer with Unsigned BC. So
that's right.
Well, there's only 8 left participants that can be selected, but we never know anyway. But I did create a song specially for that occasion.
That's amazing.
Which was a little crazy of me because I did it in one day, and
that's awesome.
It was fun. I had fun. You know, I think a part of me is like, that's stupid, Charlotte, because I did have demos that were very well done from a long time ago that I could have just given, and that were really professional.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is what I was gonna do. But then that day I started dating my now boyfriend, and so I was really thinking about our first dates and stuff.
Wow.
And I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I was like, no, I need to focus on the Song of the Summer. And then I realized, wait a second, this is exactly why I write songs. It's when I have an intense emotion or something it's just too present.
That's
I have to make something out of it. So I was like, and then I started hearing the beginning of the song in my head, and I wrote the lyrics, and I went home and I did the song and I recorded it, and it's not perfect, but it's I like it. And I play it in the open mics, and people like it, I think. But it still needs to be recorded and worked on. But that was really fun. But I don't know if I will be selected.
But I think it would be awesome to see you write a song about your boyfriend as well, you know. And then like I'm sure he would love it regardless.
Oh, he likes it, yes.
Yeah.
I was actually kind of shy to show him because it was just the beginning. But I've shown him now.
Yes. No, I'm sure he's very supportive of all the stuff you've done too.
Yeah. He's awesome.
That's awesome. So. We're just about to wrap up here. So first of all, thank you so much for being a part of this interview today.
Well, thank you for having me. That was great.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah.
So is there anybody else you want to give a shout out to? Of course, obviously your amazing new boyfriend who is now a part of your life. But what's his name?
Simon.
Hi, Simon.
And he has a great voice too. So
yes, and he's a musician. That's right.
He's an archaeologist, but he plays the guitar and sing. Yeah.
Like I said, jokingly, from a private conversation, he should write a song about history and all that stuff.
Well, it's up to him.
Yeah. So big shout out to Simon. Anybody else you want to give a big shout out to?
Well, all of my friends in France and also in Vancouver. And but in terms of musicians and I just want to give a big shout out to actually my friend Emeline that I just went to see yesterday, and that gave me the voice lesson too.
That's right.
She does music and she's amazing.
Yes.
she's actually going to be playing at Guild & Co in November.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, and she's a wonderful human, and I really like her.
She deserves a lot more recognition, honestly.
She does.
Like,
so you could totally she's passionating, so you could totally talk to her. And I don't know, I mean, for me, like, we've already talked, but like my gang, like Jordana and Atlin and Kiana and Erica and Elisa have been like the big, and Jason and Sean. Okay, there's too many people, and everyone.
I think the whole crew, basically. The whole crew.
Daniel, and no, but it's like, but you're closer to some people.
That's right.
That's just how it works. And I went through a really tough time in like beginning of the year, and to you also, you were really kind to me.
Oh, thank you. I try.
And honestly, people saved me. Like, I was really burned out, and it was kind of hard, and I realized that the people that I met here are not just here for the good times, but they're also here when it's not going perfect. And so that was really reassuring for me, and helped me a lot to feel better as well.
And I think going through those tough trials in our lives, that is the true test of character for us.
That's really where you see. And I have a friend like that also. She just gave me, her name is Laetitia Lele. If she listens, I'll tell her.
Yes.
She's one of my best friends from high school, and she's always been there for me. All the time. She's my first fan. So when I wrote the very, very first song when I was 17, which is called Little Feet in French, Petit Peton, which is not a real song, but that was like my first improvisation and saying that. She was there. Yes. And she was telling me it was great. And she's my first fan, and I love her. And she's been there through thick and thin.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So with that being said, where can we find you on the internet?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. So Charlotte LeGuy, so LEGUY.
Yeah.
And I also have a website. Although I'm looking to redo all of my websites and stuff, but right now...
In the meantime,
it's called Guided by the Rose.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. That's a whole concept. I guess we could have talked about that.
Oh, no, yeah. Go ahead. So how'd you get that name?
It's just an inspiration because it's because of a sentence I read in a book from Patti Smith, and the book is called M Train, and I read that book when I was in vacation in Greece in 2016.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I went by myself. It was one of my first solo trip. And it was amazing. And I read that book, which I loved. Patti Smith is absolutely amazing and an inspiration.
Yeah.
And in that book, there was this sentence at some point where she said, we are guided by the roses, the smell of a page. And it's very, in French, it sounds even more poetic because I read it in French.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just really loved that sentence. I wrote it down in my notebook. I was like, I love that sentence. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And then, I just let it there, and I kept doing my life.
Yeah.
But then that was kind of the beginning for me of like my kind of spiritual searching and awakening, if you want, and like realizing, because I was at the time working as an HR person in France in Danone company, like corporate and human resources.
Wow.
So a whole different life I've had.
You have quite a resume out there.
I have quite a resume. I'm older than I look, I think, but anyway. And so
I'm still older than you, just so you know.
Okay, that's fine. And then I realized there's something, I don't know. Then that's when I started to realize who I was, what I like. I like singing and writing, and I didn't think that was important back then. I thought was just something that shouldn't be cared about.
Yeah,
so it's been a huge journey for me to actually remember who I was, and then I let myself be guided by that, and be guided by my intuition and by my feelings, and not in the sense of like, you're angry and you let your anger, but like in the sense of like, what do you truly feel inside of you is right for you? And that's what guided me here too. So I've been then really listening more to my intuition and being more in tune with who I am. And that's what made me wrote those songs and do that journey and then arrive here. And so I always kept that sentence. And then I really had that idea of having a website with my songs and texts that I wrote, because I also write just texts that are not songs.
That's right,
Or are
yeah.
used to in the past,
Yeah.
at least. And so I did that. I did a first website with that one day, and
Cool.
and I called it like that. And then I did another website but I just really liked the name, and I really wanted to keep that name, and because it's about remembering who you are.
That's right.
And that's
Nice.
kind of the reason why I do what I do. It's because that's who I am, and not
Awesome.
and I think that's kind of what I want to not preach, but like, say to the world, because it's like, what else do we want to do, actually?
Yeah.
Do you want to, because it's scary. It's scary to do all those things that scare you,
Yeah.
obviously. But what else do you want to do?
That's so cool that
What
yeah.
can
No, I'm actually glad that you explained about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a great concept, personally, in my opinion.
Thank you. So I have a website on that, and I was also offering cards reading because I've been doing stuff like that. And but that's a whole other story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Charlotte, for being a part of this.
Thank you for having
again.
me.
Yeah, no problem. And we've actually been talking for over an hour, if you can
Oh
believe
my God,
it.
I'm really talkative, so I knew that.
I'm glad. This is why we're here, right?
Yeah, I was like, podcast, love it.
Yeah,
I love
there you
talking.
go. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. That was great.
No, thank you so much. And folks, please again, make sure you follow Charlotte LeGuy. She's an amazing singer-songwriter, piano player, recorder player, and singer. So she's done all these amazing things, and she also plays a bit of drums too. So make sure you check her out. She will be releasing stuff online pretty soon. If you want to support her in every way you can, give her a follow on Instagram, on both my Spotify and YouTube descriptions. So yeah, I will link that. And thank you, everyone, and we will see you next time. We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Eddie Lam Show, a podcast dedicated to interviewing musicians and online content creators of every kind. If you would like to be a guest on the program, feel free to send me an email at eddielammusic@gmail.com. That's EDDIELAM music@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out my website at eddielammusic.ca. That's EDDIELAMmusic.ca. You can also follow me on social media. Username is Eddie Lam Music. That's EDDIELAM Music on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning into our program. In the meantime, stay in touch, stay safe, and as always, stay awesome.